Entrepreneurs all across mid-Michigan are coming together like never before. Lansing, East Lansing, Michigan State University, and others. This isn't just support. This is a community-powered movement, and it's happening this week. Expert Connections starts now. Entrepreneurship is thriving in mid-Michigan, and so are the efforts to make sure every founder has access to resources. Welcome to Expert Connections. I'm Julie Holton Smith. Building this supportive ecosystem for business owners at every stage really starts with creating opportunities for connection, and that is exactly what we are seeing this week in full force. Our guest today is an absolute force in this area. Harrison Leffel-Jones is one of many key leaders who are behind 517 Entrepreneurship and Innovation Week, powered by the Lansing Economic Area Partnership, or LEAP, and a huge number of other partners that we will list for you because some of these partners are amazing. They all offer different things for entrepreneurs and business owners. Harrison, welcome to the show.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm excited to have you here because this is a jam-packed week full of events focused 100% on helping entrepreneurs connect to other entrepreneurs, connect to resources in the community. Give us the big picture overview. What exactly is 517 Entrepreneurship and Innovation Week?
Sure. Well, thanks so much for the opportunity to talk about this really great event that is kicking off just around the corner. 517 Entrepreneurship and Innovation Week really came out of a series of amazing events that were already happening in our region on a regular basis. So, MSU, for quite a number of years, has been hosting the Burgess New Venture Challenge, the MSU Innovation Celebration, Women in Tech, some truly powerhouse events. And we identified with our partners at MSU that there was an opportunity to expand the reach of these events and really make sure that our entire mid Michigan community felt that they had a place to come and engage with entrepreneurship and innovation in whatever form that means for our community. And so our goal was to take those amazing events that are already happening, add to them, and really include a lot of our community partners to ensure that we can reach a broader and wider audience. And as our capstone event is called Bridging Entrepreneurship Between Campus and Community, one is not possible without the other. And so bridging those two communities is really important to us. And these 21 events that are going to happen over 5 days are a manifestation of those bridges between the Lansing community and MSU.
I really love this opportunity. 21 events, first of all. Wow. I mean, that is a week packed full of events, no time to sleep. And I know people can find a list of all of the events happening each day on 517ei.com. We'll keep promoting that website so people can find events to attend. I love this idea, and more than an idea, this effort, this movement to really connect campus to community, because oftentimes it can feel like there's a gap between maybe the small business and entrepreneurial side of the greater Lansing area and campus at Michigan State University, when really I know you and we work so closely with MSU and with other organizations that there isn't necessarily a gap. There's this huge opportunity for both sides to connect. So can you share a little bit about that and some of the ways you're seeing with these additional events that bridge being formed?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the bridge, no bridge gets built all at once, right? It's brick by brick and step by step. And I think this is a really big step forward towards completing, across the waterway there. But to your point about the ways in which we are already working together, we're seeing that I can take, for example, the Women in Tech event, which is happening on the Monday. It's going to be a great event. But later on in that same day, there's an innovation celebration that's going to be a happy hour, which is in partnership with MSU Research Foundation, LEAP, and MSU Federal Credit Union, right? So big powerhouse leaders in our community that are putting together community opportunities where everyone has a seat at the table. And I think that that is the first of many of these types of events. I think another great example happening later on in the week is the hatching is coming back. So we're going to be having our pitch competition, which is great, but we have folks from the university who are going to be pitching, right? So it's all about these little ways that we can incorporate each other's programs into one cohesive image that says, hey, if I'm a Lansing resident and I know there's a big campus down the road, but I don't really interact with it other than maybe going to a football game, now is the time to say, hey, I run a small business and I would love to hire some MSU students. Maybe I should go check out Innovate State. Or vice versa. If you're an MSU student and you're saying, hey, there's this city that's got a Capitol building down the road, how do I engage with that? Maybe I'll go learn about creative entrepreneurs at our partnership with the Capital City Film Festival happening on Wednesday, right? So there's all these really cool ways that hopefully there's something for everyone, whether it's a coffee meetup or a co-working opportunity for our folks on all sides of our community to really find a place in this week of entrepreneurship.
This really reminds me, all the buzz and the energy that's coming in advance of this week, even is reminding me. You and I just got back from South by Southwest. Feels like we just got back. I guess it's been a few
Yeah.
weeks now. And we took a Lansing delegation there, including a number of startups, students, and those who are not students, founders who are older outside of the student startup community. And the feeling in Austin, Texas was really when it came to the entrepreneurship side of the festival, it was really just one of cohesion. There was not like this big gap between students and others, let's say, but really just a lot of energy around these innovative ideas and in these companies that are starting. And I feel that way too about all of this buzz about 517 EI week. Is that something that you're seeing as well? Just a lot of interaction and commingling?
Yeah, and I think what's nice is, we can all lay claim to 517, right? And we really were intentional about how we set this up as it's not necessarily a Leap branded thing or an MSU branded thing. It's a space where we can all kind of jump on board. And I do think about, festivals like South by Southwest and Collision up in Toronto before it closed down and some of these other big global festivals that have come and some have had some real staying power over the last 10 to 20 years. And all of them started just like this, right? A bunch of community partners getting together and saying, hey, we should do something, right? We often talk about Grand Rapids and Detroit and some of these other, powerhouse cities in Michigan that had all started pretty small arts and culture festivals. Art Prize in Grand Rapids has grown to this international thing. And could this be the start of something that's really impactful that happens in the Lansing region, right? Where we no longer are doing 17 different events across the year. It's all colliding and collaborating in this one week, which really could provide a touch point for many years to come. And that's what I'm really excited about. Is it feels like the start of something where like, hey, this could really work here, and we could really make something that is inclusive of Lansing, East Lansing. We're even partnering with our folks up in St. John's and down in Mason, right? So everyone around the region has a place to participate in 517 E&I Week.
And there's a real focus on making sure people have access to resources, and to making resources more accessible. What kind of support does this initiative actually provide to local entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think a big thing that we've talked about before, and as a small business owner yourself, right? The biggest thing that we can help provide is education and connections, right? And sometimes it's not necessarily the, hey, I'm going to make this business development introduction for you, but I can put you in the right room with the right people at the right time. And by having these kind of highly curated events where there's specific industry focus areas, that's the opportunity where we can bring in people from all around the state. And we've even got people coming from Chicago all the way up from California who are going to be joining us, right? And this is the cool opportunity about having that touch point. If you don't know who you're going to be in line with getting coffee in between an event, you don't know who's going to be popping up at the happy hour after the event. And so that's the really cool thing about this is the resources are just educating people on what's available. We both have conversations. Hey, did you know about this thing that, the MEDC runs? Or did you know this thing that the city of Lansing is offering? And people just don't know because it's hard to reach your audience sometimes. And so this is a really great way through this week to really say, hey, come to this event. I can guarantee you that you're going to learn a hell of a lot from our partners and find those resources so that when the next opportunity comes up, you're already in the know about where to go, who to talk to, and how to really make your next business idea happen.
Absolutely. And you mentioned happy hours. So, I have to mention that my own organization, Startup
Yeah.
Grind Lansing, is having a mix and mingle happy hour on Wednesday. You can find that information on 517ei.com, along with the list of all of the events happening all week long. I think we kind of took the easy way out there, Harrison, because there are so many really focused, really educational, really impactful events happening that we thought, you know what, we'll let everyone have some downtime, have a drink, some food, and then get back to it. So join Startup Grind Lansing for that. One thing that also stands out to me on 517ei.com is talk about inclusivity and how important that is. And so as you were shaping the events of the week and working with partners, how is everyone working together to make sure that we are supporting those who are underserved and underrepresented?
Yeah, I think, it's a really impactful topic and something that is a big focus for the LEAP team, the Lansing Regional SmartZone team. It really is kind of through and through all of our programming is how do we make sure that, when from an economic standpoint, the more people who are engaged in our local and regional economy, the better we all are, right? Whether that's working, starting a new business, working for one of our amazing institutions here in the area. And when we were thinking about how to make this more inclusive, I think, just by the simple nature of how our region is set up, is we've got a lot of little pockets of different cities and communities and really strong, communities that exist. How do we make sure that they feel that they have a space at the table and being intentional about that outreach? I think that's been the really critical thing for us is saying, hey, LEAP program participants, you typically haven't viewed these MSU events as a space for you to be part of. Now is the time to start engaging with that. And also to our MSU community, there's always this kind of push pull of, MSU should be doing more for Lansing and Lansing should be doing more for MSU. And it's the kind of tale of two cities. And I think events like this really say, no, we can actually just participate with each other and mutually support a lot of our organizations that are doing amazing work and saying, yes, you do have a place at the table, and not just saying, hey, here's a chair, but actually reaching out and sending that invitation to our different groups around the community and saying, hey, you have a chair, here's the table, it's happening, you don't want to miss out. And that's really what we're trying to aim for.
And the best part is the table will never be too full. There is always room at the table. Harrison, what can the broader community, whether it's residents, other business leaders, those policymakers, those just hearing about 517 EI Week, what can they do to support this work?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're emphasizing to people is show up for your community. We know that it's a lot of events. You do not have to go to all 21. I think even myself, I don't think I'll make it to all 21 next week. But I do think that, really showing up for your community, even if it's just one event and stopping by and saying, hey, who are the people in our community who are out there moving and shaking and trying to make our community a great place to be? A catchphrase we often hear is Lansing has such great potential. Well, the only way to change potential into the actual realized amazing place that it can and should be is getting involved. You can't make a fire happen by sitting on the sidelines going, oh, I really wish that there was a fire in the room and that it was warmer in here, right? You have to get engaged. And even just picking up a couple twigs and bringing them to the fireplace is enough, right? And so that I would encourage folks get engaged, show up to an event, share it on social media. This is an opportunity for us to say, yes, I do have a place within this amazing community. And, our entrepreneurs and our small businesses, we hope that they grow to be the next GM or accident fund or insert large institution here. And I think that they don't get that way without their community supporting them throughout that entire journey. And so it's great that we support our small businesses and startups, but it's another thing to show up for them and be present to really help them get that next leg up, get that next deal, make sure that they can continue to be successful. And there's entrepreneurs everywhere. Julie, you know this just as well as I do. There's entrepreneurs that are big Fortune 500s in the region, right? Who are sitting there going, oh, on the weekends I do this, or, I've always thought about starting my side hustle, or they've got a great business that they want to spin out of their corporate job, right? So there's so many different opportunities that being an entrepreneur doesn't just mean I'm starting a business. You could just be a regular Lansing community member who wants to learn about all the great things that are going on in your backyard and in your community. And this is a really easy, accessible way to start getting involved.
And we have a number of those stories, those really cool stories behind the scenes of what's happening with startups in our community right here on Expert Connections. Just click over to our startups playlist. Harrison from Leap, thank you so much for taking the time out of a very busy week to share with us about 517 Entrepreneurship and Innovation Week. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. And hopefully, we'll see you at many events next week.
Yes, check out the list of events at 517ei.com. While you're there, also make sure to check out some of the partners and the organizations who are teaming up with LEAP: Lansing Regional SmartZone, Michigan State University Research Foundation, the Burgess Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Michigan State, and the Michigan State University Innovation Center, Startup Grind Lansing, so many others who are partnering with LEAP, providing opportunities for education, and a number of business events as well, with businesses offering their insights into things like what's happening in AI and new developments in technology. So be sure to check out the partners and what they offer and the full list of events. Again, 517ei.com. That is all for this episode of Expert Connections. We'll see you over in the next video.